Early week edition of College Sports Now. Happy December, everybody. The last time we spoke to you, well, if you listened to Friday's show last week, it was a post-Thanksgiving edition, but we haven't spoken to Roddy Jones since the pre-Thanksgiving edition of CSN. Roddy, thank you for being with us. Great to see you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, all that jazz.
Yeah, it was great. We had a good time.
Lot going on in the world of college football. Obviously, we'll get to the games. But I gotta get some coaching reacts from you, okay? I know you were in Norman. I know you saw Oklahoma survive and advance against LSU. We will discuss that. But I'm looking at like 12 coaches' moves that have gone down in the last 48 to 72 hours.
Jeez.
It's been a lot. Does
that include hirings and firings, or like the firing for one school? Like Michigan State, is that 2 or is that 1?
That's just one. Just one.
Yeah. Jesus,
in fairness, Michigan State hired a guy who was unemployed, so that's just one transaction there. I know what you're saying. They did fire Jonathan Smith and paid that dude $30 million to walk away.
Yeah.
But a lot going on in the coaching world. By the way, good morning to Tripp Hurd, who has rebranded himself once again as the licensed doctor of locks.
Are you a Duke fan this week?
You didn't know this?
Yeah, always been a Duke fan, man. Duke's.
Oh man, I know you're pulling for him hard in the ACC championship game against Virginia.
Huge game. Let us in.
Tripp is a member of the Duke radio crew, Roddy. I know you don't know. I know you didn't know this because you don't put your ACC basketball hat on until March.
Thought he was a Florida State fan.
Well, yeah. See, football season has ended.
No.
For some.
No.
I've never heard of him.
And now basketball season has begun, and that's when Tripp.
Well, I guess it has officially
ended
for
hats.
Florida State. Yeah. I guess when your season's team ends, you have to go to your backup team, and that Duke's in the championship game. Florida State sitting at home after a loss to Florida. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, you see how this goes
about Florida State.
Yeah, you've entered the mind. You've entered the mind of Tripp Hurd here. So I promise there will be football to discuss. I've got the conference championship games coming up this weekend that I will get your thoughts on. We've got weekend takeaways as well. But Roddy, can you just I don't need to list all of these, but of these transactions as you described it, Lane Kiffin to LSU, John Summerall to Florida, Alex Galesh to Auburn, Silverfield to Arkansas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Any of these that you like specifically? Any of these that you're kind of not a fan of, that you're questioning whether or not it's going to work, or just that you're a little, skeptical of as we embark on the latest in the coaching world?
I question if they're all going to work, and I think there's reason for excitement about all of them. Instead of doing the coaching grades and stuff, I think we should more look at what are these guys walking into situationally, because that so often dictates whether or not they have success and how much patience will they have. And I think the schools that people are most interested in are not going to have a ton of patience. So you have to look at the situations that they're walking into. In that case, Alex Galesh going to Auburn and John Summerall going to Florida are walking into great situations. Those rosters are loaded with talent. Neither one of them. Florida kind of has the quarterback situation figured out if you can rehab DJ Lagway, but there's a big question on who John Summerall is going to hire as his offensive coordinator, because apparently Joe Craddock ain't enough. He said that he said to Florida fans, don't look at my offenses at Tulane. I'll go find somebody to do good offense, which not great. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's not a super comforting thing when you're look, they're hiring me, and I know his quote was, great offense at Florida is not optional, it's mandatory. Which means basically you're having to apologize for your offenses in the past and saying we're going to do it different at Florida. He didn't win doing offense. He won doing the things that he did at Tulane. So how will that translate? I don't know. I think John Summerall, everyone's talking about home run and all this stuff, and maybe. And everyone's saying, well, yeah, this guy's absolutely not Billy Napier. And maybe, but similar background from Billy Napier. And I'm not just talking about Group of Five coach from New Orleans. I'm talking about Group of Five coach stepping in to a bigger situation and having to make significant changes because of the situation. They went and hired a guy he has no relationship with, apparently. I at least not one that I can find. there's a relationship with the dude that they're pulling from the Eagles, then I don't know it. But they're pulling an NFL GM to come in, and that was something that was mandated to him, something that Lane pushed back on heavily. It just doesn't feel like he's being brought in to do his thing. So he feels like he's being brought in based on his past success, and they're going to ask him to change a lot. That's just from the outside looking in, because of the fact that he's going to have to go hire an OC, and the fact that they basically brought in the GM and said that they wanted a GM with NFL experience from the beginning. So, it certainly could work. He's walking into a loaded roster, and if he can keep those guys around, they should be good pretty quickly. But we'll see. I think Alex Golesh at Auburn is walking into a situation where if he can figure out the quarterback, they'll be really good on offense next year, and they can win a bunch of games next year. I'd have to look at the defense and how much they're losing, but they're still going to have talent. Like, that's a team that I think you can look at. Boom, microwave offense because of what he's got around him, because he's the offensive play caller and he's one doing offense, and he's walking into a situation where he's got some really good players. So that one I feel good about. Ryan Silverfield's got an uphill battle at Arkansas. You're going to have to retool that roster. Like, that's tough. And like, people aren't that impressed.
They're not excited, Roddy. That's generally not a good thing. If you're bringing in a new coach and the fans aren't like, rah, rah, we're ready to rock and roll, that's generally a red flag.
I'm not going to lie. I don't know why you just wouldn't keep Bobby Petrino if you're going to do the Ryan Silverfield thing.
Well, he won 0 games as the interim coach, which, generally is not a good sign.
No, but he did it with Sam Pittman's roster, and that defense was terrible. So the offense wasn't the problem. That was what he was in charge of. The offense was excellent.
Taylor.
The run game was excellent. And if that offense is not good next year, like, people are going to be – because the defense – they have to retool the whole thing. Like, you got to get everybody new in the portal. Here's the thing. Arkansas is fishing in the same swimming pools as, like, UNC.
I know.
Like, you're not going to win a bunch of games in the SEC. So that one feels a lot like, I don't know. We'll see what Ryan Silverfield's able to do. But in talking to people who are familiar with that job just over the course of the year, it is not looked at as a good job. It's looked at as sort of one of those dead-end jobs where you're going to get fired at some point and get a buyout. But if he can win 7-8 games a year, they'll be satisfied with that as long as they're good in football, good in basketball, and good in baseball. What are the other ones? I love Eric Morris to Oklahoma State. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Bob Chesney, UCLA, is a head-scratcher a little bit. I mean, the guy's won everywhere he's been, back to like something Regina in Division III or Division II through Assumption. Like, he's won everywhere. But UCLA, I think it's good for UCLA. We'll see if it works. Tough job. What are the other ones? Has Kentucky officially hired Will Stein?
Yes.
Okay. Another one. Like, we'll see. He does offense, and they have not been great on offense in a long time. But Kentucky's a tough job. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, man.
You got any takes on Tavita Pritchard?
Yeah, I think Stanford's really well set up for the future. I don't know Tavita Pritchard. I know his background. I know he's been at Stanford. I know he's a part of those teams. I know he's familiar with life on the farm. I know he's former teammates with Andrew Luck and apparently has a really good relationship with him. Here's what I will tell you about Stanford. They are very well resourced now. They are very committed to being good at football again, and they are very aligned. And so Stanford is dangerous. If I were to buy stock of any team in the ACC, based on where they are right now and where I think they will be 5-10 years from now, it is Stanford.
I love that. I mean, that's
maybe SMU, but they're starting a lot higher. But Stanford, absolutely.
Okay,
dude. So it's been announced. Like, it was announced, the $50 million donation to the football. I have been told that it is of multiples more that Andrew Luck has been able to secure. Like, not 2x. More than that Andrew Luck has been able to secure for the football program.
And this is, just to clarify, that's just for the football program. That's not for Stanford athletics.
Just for football. Just for football.
Okay.
It is in the I have heard it is in the 9 figures. Well into the 9 figures.
Man,
so
break off just a little bit of that for CSN. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could be,
I mean, it ain't coming to me.
No, I understand.
When we saw Andrew Luck, we saw Stanford we saw Stanford twice this year, once at BYU and once at Miami. We did not catch up with Andrew Luck in Provo, but when we were in Miami, he was running around like a madman, and he stopped to talk to us for like 5 minutes. And we're like, "Hey man, what have the last few days for you have been like?" his eyes lit up and he said, there's a lot of Stanford grads in Miami. I said, oh, Stanford grads in Miami, they seem pretty successful. He was like, we've been doing a lot of talking over the last couple of days. So my guy has been working. He has been working the donors, the alums, and he has been raking in the money. So Stanford is going to be good, and they were going to be good, sustainably good, it seems like.
Okay. Well, Andrew Luck probably has like $100 million in the bank of his own.
Well, I don't know that he's donating
guy,
that
so
much
he
money
probably threw that into an index. He's probably got a couple bill by now.
I mean, he's probably kicking some of that to Stanford, probably not all of it. But the thing that Stanford has an advantage over other people is they hit rock bottom. When they got left out of the Big Ten, it was a sobering reality for Stanford, the university. And they had, I don't know how much you know about Stanford athletics, and this is probably too much of a deep dive. And I didn't know a lot of this before this year. Stanford had an alum that basically owned all the land in Silicon Valley, and he was the guy. He was the sugar daddy. Like, he was the team owner for all of Stanford athletics, and that guy passed away. I can't remember his name. Stanford people will know, but his name's all over everything in Stanford. That guy passed away, and so the money river kind of dried up, and so alums that had been on the sideline, very wealthy alums that had been on the sideline, because you had a team owner who was a billionaire who was very generous giving to Stanford. The people that were maybe also billionaires, maybe multimillionaires, were sitting on the sideline because they didn't have to do anything. That guy was donating all the money. Well, when he passed, there was a void there that wasn't able to be filled, and Andrew Luck has been able to align people to fill it and allow football to recruit for football, because, hey, look, we got left out of the Big Ten. Why? Because y'all were messing around and not giving us money, and the money that we did give you, that you did give us, had to go to everybody, and you wouldn't let football players have special treatment in certain ways, so we lost some guys, and you wouldn't let football players in the transfer portal as much because of academics. So they have loosened up all of that. And so I think Stanford's going to be good. So Tavita Pritchard stepping into a good situation.
I think that's fascinating. And by the way, Roddy, I didn't ask you about Stanford. I wouldn't have asked you about Stanford if you weren't, one, an ACC insider, and two, here to kind of drop a little bit of knowledge on Tripp and I and our audience, because I find this fascinating, because if you look at the landscape of college football, Indiana, they're going to their second straight college football playoff. Vanderbilt, the punching bag of the SEC, probably going to be left out. I've come to terms with that. They're probably going to get left out because
it's not your fault.
No, it's not my fault.
You did,
but this is going to be my Vanderbilt victory lap show today. Okay, because they handled their business at Tennessee, and they run the state, which I told you 4 months ago was going to happen. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. My point is, if you can evaluate talent, if you have the resources financially to commit to that talent, you don't have to recruit 5 stars out of high school anymore. That helps, but you can go find guys, you can build your roster, and you can do it in a way where Stanford, to your point, Roddy, if what you're saying is true, if that pans out, if Tavita Pritchard's able to connect with these guys, and clearly Andrew Luck thinks that he is, they're going to be cooking out west. And frankly, how many schools are cooking out west, really? Like, Oregon. Geographically. Okay, Oregon. I'll give you Oregon.
SC, kind of. Like, they're at a simmer. They're not really cooking. They're like putting together a charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Like, it's food, but it ain't hot.
And then what? Like,
Washington has started to assemble ingredients. Maybe.
Washington State covered.
About it.
Okay. I mean, but like, that's the thing. UNLV.
There's a void.
Boise State. San Diego State.
Hey, Boise was in the CFP last year, but that's a different weight class, bro. Like, we're not even talking about, that's a different weight class.
If you're talking to kids about spending November in Boise, Idaho, or Palo Alto, California, you know what I mean? Like, it's different. It's very different. So I think that's exciting. And frankly, good news for the ACC, which needs some good news, because we got an ACC championship game on Saturday night in Charlotte that is, one, a rematch, and two, as the kids like to say, no aura, no Riz for Duke and Virginia. Would you disagree?
I mean, I would not push back on the auraless ACC championship game. The funny thing though, dude, is like we thought we were getting rid of Coastal Chaos, and now you've got two Coastal teams, one of which is 7-5 in your championship game. We've come full circle.
Who do you lay the blame at there? I mean, obviously SMU could have handled their business. They could have won at Berkeley as 2 touchdown faves.
Georgia Tech could have beat Pitt.
Yeah, sure.
So what do you mean by blame? Like blame that Duke's in the championship game?
Well, like if you're in the ACC front office, if you're in the board meetings, like, are you okay with this? Like, how do you adjust so that you can protect your league against this from happening next year and beyond?
It's very easy, and I did not. I will admit, like, I did not think of this as a possibility. I don't think the ACC office thought about this as a possibility, but it's also not my job to protect the ACC and the best interest of the ACC.
Correct.
So someone at the league office should have looked up and been like, hey, like, just in case things go haywire, how can we make sure that we set ourselves up the best for the CFP at a time where the ACC is fighting for its life in the college football playoff, turning down automatic bids, saying, no, we can do it different. We should be fine. So the fault that Duke is in the championship game lies at the feet of the ACC and ACC leadership. And the reason I say this is it's not like there wasn't someone out there who figured out that, hey, we should protect ourselves. We don't need these convoluted tiebreaker scenarios that could end up in a place that isn't really awesome for our league. And it is decided by games that have no bearing deciding who gets into our championship game. And it was the American, because the American's second tiebreaker is college football playoff rankings. The first is head-to-head. The second is college football playoff rankings. There's no business on, win percentage against this, going down the conference rankings, common opponents, none of that. The tiebreakers are win percentage, head-to-head, and then college football playoff rankings. Because, Steven, the difference between Miami and Duke in terms of the fifth tiebreaker, so Miami versus Duke, well, it's actually Miami versus Duke versus Georgia Tech versus SMU versus Pitt. Those are the 5 teams that were tied at 2 losses.
Right.
Miami, but it came down to Miami and Duke and Georgia Tech. Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech were the top 3 teams in terms of conference opponents win percentage. Duke's conference opponents had a 50% win percentage. Georgia Tech's and Miami's had a 43.8% win percentage. That is a difference of 4 games. So Duke's conference opponents had 4 more wins than did Miami and Georgia Tech's conference opponents. But just talking Duke versus Miami, these are some of the games that decided the ACC championship game participant. FSU versus Virginia, the overtime game that Virginia wins against Florida State. If Florida State wins that game, Miami and Duke are in the championship game. Virginia's out. Virginia is a 2-loss team. Their percentage is a lot worse than Miami and Duke's. Like, that one is in. So that game decided who's in the championship game. The other ones, Louisville versus Cal, because Miami played Louisville, Duke played Cal. That game went Cal's way, check to Duke. LSU, Louisville v. Clemson, another one. Miami, Louisville, Duke, Clemson. Stanford, UNC, because Miami played Stanford, Duke played UNC. Virginia Tech, Wake. Miami played Virginia Tech, Duke played Wake. Those are the games that decided. Those games have nothing to do with Duke or Miami. And all of the games I just listed were 1-score games, which means you're essentially 1 play in each game can make the difference. Did that make Duke's schedule that much harder than Miami's? The fact that North Carolina beat Stanford by 5? Did that make Duke's schedule that much harder? The fact that Louisville suffered a 1-point loss to Clemson, did that make it that much harder? It ends up being very arbitrary, man, at the end of the day. Like, it ends up basically being random. So why not make it arbitrary in a way that helps your league? Because if your conference, if the second tiebreaker was college football playoff rankings, there's no doubt Miami's in the championship game. And I don't know what the downside is to that. Fairness? Duke's, well, that's not fair. We played a tougher schedule. You played a tougher schedule because UNC beat Stanford. You played a tougher schedule because Virginia Tech missed a 49-yard field goal in the 4th quarter against Wake Forest in a game that they could have tied up and potentially won in overtime. You played that much of a tougher schedule because an overtime versus Cal Louisville had a misstep and Cal was able to score. That made your schedule that much tougher? No, it ends up over the course of 8 games being super random and very arbitrary. So we're not talking about fairness here. We're talking about protection. Like, this is about reality at this point. And the ACC missed the boat on it. And thus you are in a situation where if Duke wins the championship game, you very well could get left out, because some of the stats for Duke are pretty damning when it comes to them versus Tulane versus North Texas versus James Madison.
So that's very well said, by the way, and I teed that up for you, and you just crushed it. 450 footer over the left field fence.
You know what I took away from that is that maybe Mike Norvell was playing chess this whole time, not checkers.
Dude, seriously,
he kept them out.
You're kind of joking, but Florida State being 2-6 ends up being the biggest pockmark on Miami's record in terms of conference win percentage. It is unbelievable, because like Florida State loses to Virginia, they then lose to Pitt, they lose down the stretch to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. Like, Florida State basically cost Miami. Louisville did too, because Louisville collapsed down the stretch, but Florida State is the one on that schedule of conference opponents: Florida State, Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. Duke also played NC State and Cuse, so those are a wash. Virginia Tech was terrible all year long. Stanford was, fought, but not good. SMU lost, got Miami in. But Florida State, Louisville, and Pitt are the ones that cost. Although if Pitt, wins, beats Miami, then
sure.
Who knows? But
it's interesting too, though. It's interesting too, though, because if you put Miami and Duke on a field, Miami's going to be north of a 2-touchdown favorite, maybe pushing 3.
Correct.
Honestly.
Correct.
And
what about the prospect of Duke winning and getting in, and Duke's in and Miami's not? Like
that's not. Walk me through that, Roddy. I know the college football playoffs penultimate rankings come out tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. Where does Miami need to be in those rankings to feel comfortable about? Well, they're not going to feel comfortable regardless, because they got to wait until the results play out on Saturday, right?
You can feel comfortable if you're at 9. But they're not getting a 9, I don't think. The whole Miami Notre Dame thing is interesting, man, because Miami kind of stepped on its own tail by losing 2 of its last 3 games going into the first college football playoff rankings. And so there was a really bad taste in the committee's mouth the first time they considered Miami.
Right.
And they've had to fight that ever since. Like, had those 2 losses occurred weeks 1 and 3 or weeks 2 and 3, I think Miami's in a very different spot right now, especially with the win over Notre Dame. So Miami's been fighting that. They have looked a lot better. And as Notre Dame fans have correctly pointed out, Miami has been goosing the score. It has been pumping the score lines a little bit. Threw a touchdown against Pittsburgh with less than a minute left. I believe they did the same thing against Syracuse or Stanford. Not Stanford. I did that game.
It was Virginia Tech. They did it at Virginia Tech.
They did it at Virginia Tech. After Virginia Tech scored, they go down and they score again. So they have been leaving their starters in to make the score lines look bigger. But that is what the committee has forced them to do, because they need to look as good as possible. And here's the thing, dude. Even if it's not hey, let's just look at the metrics or let's just look at the scores, their metrics are going to look better. And their metrics, particularly offensively, were the thing that were holding them back against Notre Dame, in my opinion, along with the way that they played. But their offensive metrics were the thing that were off. And I think Miami knows that. And so Miami's been like, nah, man, F it. We're going to score as much as we possibly can. And how much attention is the committee paying? Are they going to discount Miami's relative scoring offense now because Miami was scoring touchdowns with less than a minute left in the game? I don't think so. I think the committee's just going to put it up on the screen and say those two are similar. Let's go with whatever. So Miami's doing the right thing by running up scores. Miami is doing the right thing by putting pressure on the committee, by looking better. Miami's done everything right. How high will they jump? I don't know, man. I think they should. I think they should be up there with Notre Dame and probably jump Notre Dame, because once you clear BYU and Bama and you get Notre Dame and Miami next to each other, you have to jump them over Notre Dame. So I think that should happen this week. I think Miami's done everything to even the playing field between those two teams But will the committee have the balls to do it? I don't know. They're supposed to scrap the rankings and start fresh every week. And I don't know how this week you can do that when you have 4 common opponents between the two schools. You've seen them on the field. The record, I mean, the schedules are very similar. Like USC is the one outlier in the schedule difference between the two. But USF was ranked when Miami played them around where USC is going to be ranked. So,
Yeah, the 2-loss bubble it's going to be very interesting when those rankings drop later tonight, because I mentioned Vanderbilt earlier, but like at 10-2, Vanderbilt is likely going to be on the outside looking in. Utah,
they should be behind Texas. Vandy should.
Well, they lost to Texas. Sure.
Can I go on another rant? I've talked a lot early on, and
I love that. Listen, I know you're fired up, and you should be, because if the ACC has 0 CFP teams, that is a massive failure, and they're staring that down the barrel of the gun.
Here's the thing, dude. Like I do the podcast on ACC Network. I do stuff on ACC Network. It changes my life none if the ACC has 5 teams in the playoff or 1 team in the playoff or none. Doesn't change my life at all. Still got a job to do. I'm going to do it. So it doesn't affect me at all. But because I follow this league so closely, like, of course, I see the warts. The thing I want to rant on for a second, if you will, if you let me, if you allow me,
please, yes.
This committee has had a chance to send some very clear messages that it has not been sending consistently. One of them that we will focus on is the non-conference scheduling, because it has felt like the risk reward of scheduling big games in the non-conference has not been balanced by this committee, because the risk of scheduling a big early season non-conference game is that you lose it and you end up like Texas. Texas last week was at 16, behind 2 spots behind a Vandy team that it beat. And yes, Vandy has 1 less loss than does Texas. But I think, and I will pose this question to you, if Texas had played Ohio University instead of Ohio State and won by double digits, which they likely would have, is Texas, with its current resume, overtime at Kentucky, lost to Florida, the 25-point loss at Georgia, if you have those 3 things still constant, the season plays out exactly like it did, but they're 10-2 because they played Ohio University instead of Ohio State. With the wins that they have, a win over number 3 Texas A&M, a win over number 14 Vandy, a win over number 8 Oklahoma, is that 10-2 Texas team in the college football playoff?
Not only are they in, they are a lock to be in. Lock.
I agree. And so people point at, well, you shouldn't have played poorly against Kentucky. Well, you shouldn't have lost to Florida. Well, you shouldn't have got blasted by Georgia. Those things we have just agreed, and I think reasonable minds do agree, that if those things still happen and you don't play Ohio State to start the year, they are in the college football playoff, which then to me means they are punished for choosing to play Ohio State. They did not have a choice in those other games. Right. And you don't choose to play well or play poorly, but you choose to put yourself at risk. And they chose to put themselves at risk against Ohio State, and they lost, and they are being punished as if that's a full loss. Doesn't matter, no qualify. Like, you don't get any benefit from playing that game if you lose. And then on the other side, let's look at a team that played a big college football, a big game at the beginning of the year and won. Miami, who then goes on to lose to 2 teams who are unranked. And yet they are still ranked behind the team that they beat, who has the same record. So it bought them no benefit of the doubt. It bought them nothing. Those types of games should buy you something. One of those losses should be excused to an unranked team because you beat Notre Dame. You chose to play that game and you beat Notre Dame. And yet the committee has basically said by the rankings, yeah, that's all well and good. That's nice, but we're not even going to have you ranked above the team you beat. So the risk is that you end up like Texas, and that loss that you accrued because you chose to play Ohio State is counted as a full loss, same as all the other losses. Not like a half loss, not like a good loss, but whatever. Didn't buy Texas any wiggle room. The winning didn't buy Miami any wiggle room. So why would you play those games now, dude? I mean, Indiana played Kennesaw State, Old Dominion, and Indiana State. Michigan a few years ago played Hawaii, UConn, and like UNLV or something like that.
Yeah.
That is the way that you do it. You schedule nobody in the preseason. You win those games by 1 million. Then you can lose 2 conference games and be absolutely fine because the committee has shown a loss is a loss. And that is the ultimate guiding principle. Not who you lose to, because head-to-head doesn't matter, but number of losses is the thing that is the guiding principle.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think that's part of the ammunition for people who want to expand the playoff to 16 teams is, that there are good teams that are being omitted.
I don't mind good teams being omitted, man. Like, that happens, but
yeah, I don't have a solution here. Like I tell Tripp all the time, don't come at me and just complain for the sake of complaining unless you're going to offer some solutions.
I've got solutions.
Okay, let's hear them. Yeah, I tell you that all the time. I try to pick you up, man. I try to pick you up off the mat.
You treat Texas as a 2-loss team. That's how they should be treated. You treat Miami. You reward Miami for beating a team that is 4 spots ahead of them because they chose to schedule that game and they won. It counts more. It is more heavily weighted. That is the solution. And I'm sorry if BYU at 11-1 gets left out. They played East Carolina, Stanford, and Portland State in the non-con. Sorry. Miami went out and they played Notre Dame and they won. So that buys them an extra one. It buys them a mulligan. That is unless like we just want to say, hey, look, let's just punt on the preseason game, or let's just punt on the early season games. Like, we're good. Doesn't matter. We don't want those games. We only care about conference play. That is the way you do it, in my opinion. Because like I am not a automatic bid, play yourself in AQ kind of guy. But this is pushing me towards that because of the way Miami was treated, because of the way because of the way Texas is being treated. And I don't know of any other teams that played that big non-conference game. Like those are the 2 biggest non-con, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. And we'll see, like, well, is Texas A&M going to be ranked above Notre Dame? One would think they've got 1 less loss, but like with this committee, they might be like, whoa,
yeah,
who has Texas A&M beaten?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, the committee has been, for me this year, has been, you say inconsistent. I'd say just kind of head scratching. I mean,
I didn't say inconsistent. They've been very consistent. They've just been, I think, this committee's priorities are misplaced.
That's a political way to describe it. We'll see, man. I think the 19 to 25 on the rankings tonight should be interesting because you need to have more than one Group of 5 team on there. I would think between North Texas, JMU. I know Tulane's been there the last couple of weeks, and good on them. I would like to see Tennessee kicked out of the rankings permanently. I don't think they had any business being in there in the first place. They were 19 last week. Tennessee finished the season, by the way, 0 wins against Power 4 teams with a winning record. That's hard to do.
Offense is very exciting, though.
Sure. Neat. And, as much as I push back against the Wayne Cooks of the world and the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist people, there are times when I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Like, I get it. I understand why you feel that way. The biases, just in terms of the biases against the brands, against certain leagues.
That's fair.
The ESPN part of this equation too, Roddy. Like there are multiple conflicts of interest here with ESPN and the conferences that they are embedded with. And I know you push back on that notion, but it is a fact.
I am, sure. But those biases exist everywhere.
Yeah.
And with the notion that ESPN is heavily biased towards the SEC, it's hard to argue it's hard to argue it heavily because it's just not it's me saying no, trust me. But the people who work at ESPN, the analysts that work at ESPN, have the broadest view of college football that any analysts have in college football. Like what Herbie and McElroy and Dusty and Jesse, like what those guys get to see, and the breadth of teams they get to see is much more wide than any other analysts that are calling games across the country. So if your North Star analyst is Joel Klatt, like how many teams and conferences is Joel Klatt seeing? How many teams and conferences is Todd Blackledge seeing? How many is Gary Danielson seeing? Compare that to how many is Herbie seeing? How many is McElroy seeing? The breadth of exposure to these programs in season is the greatest for the people at ESPN. And so while ESPN is easy to pick on for its quote biases, and it's because, well, they only do the SEC, la, 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 la. Look at Fox, look at NBC, look at CBS, two of those who exclusively have contracts with one conference. Mm-hmm. And Fox has it with two, but like, how many big noon games were Big 12 games this year?
Yeah, like 2 or 3. Yeah, maybe just 2, honestly.
Yeah. So like
Cincinnati, Texas Tech, I think.
When we go down the bias train, like ESPN's the easiest to pick on, but put the same lens on everybody else. We just hear from ESPN a lot more, so that is my defense of ESPN. And also, here's my other both defense and like criticism. To have the type of conspiracy that you are talking about, number one, you have to have 12 people in the room either be super complicit or like paid off by who knows who, because like those 12 or 13 people who are in the college football playoff room are all being told like, hey, look, you have to do this because ESPN says. Some of them have no affiliation to ESPN. So there's that part of it. Secondly, it would need to be a pretty highly orchestrated thing for ESPN, which is a company that is much less, that is much more flawed in its function than you guys are proposing. So like the organization side of it, and the cover up that would have to be happening, and the number of people that would need to be involved in that cover up is significant. If indeed like ESPN was pulling the puppet strings on this whole thing.
Sure. Fair. Here's one thing I'll say before we get into before we get into some takeaways and actually talk about games that happened over the weekend. I think the one thing I come back to, Roddy, as somebody who is not a college football analyst like you are, but as a fan, as an observer, as a part-time ball knower, and you can put an asterisk next to that because my takes are often wrong. I come back to the makeup of this college football playoff committee sometimes.
I do too.
And somebody like Hunter Yurachek, who is an athletic director at the University of Arkansas, who's now the chair of the college football playoff committee since Mack Rhodes was given a leave of absence. You know how many coaches Arkansas allegedly interviewed for their head coaching position, which has now been filled by Ryan Silverfield?
I don't.
The number's right around 20. So Hunter Yurachek, the AD at Arkansas, took part in full or partial of vetting 20 different guys to take over the head coaching position of Arkansas, while also being on the college football playoff committee, while also being a guy who's supposed to know more about college football than anybody because he's part of the group that decides who's going to be in the group of 12, the field of 12 coming up on next Sunday. So I don't know, man. Like maybe we need to just rethink who's in that room. I'm not asking for transparency. I know we're not going to get a mic in there. I know we're not going to be doing CFP committee podcasts where they break all this stuff down. We're just going to be getting those interviews with Reese and the boys after the rankings come out. And that's, that is what it is. That's fine. But I don't know, man. Maybe we need a different kind of ball knower in that room. Right?
Why is that fine? Why is that fine?
Because I think that's part of the drama. I think that's part of the package here. Like, we're not going to tell you everything. You're not going to be able to just like sit in on these meetings, right? That doesn't happen with the NCAA basketball committee either. That's not how that works.
No. And you want people to be able to talk freely. You've touched on another point that I am passionate about and I have ranted on for years, and that is the makeup of the committee, to the point and the transparency, to the point where I have brought that up with Rich Clark, who's the executive director of the College Football Playoff. I brought it up with the committee chair at the time, Ward Manuel. Explain to me how you are doing your big boy, big girl jobs, which is running running the athletic departments of these massive schools, hundreds of millions of dollars that you are in charge of, hundreds of people, and at a time where there's a lot of drama going on in college athletics, whether it's NIL, rev share, raising money, hiring coaches, all of that. How are you doing that and watching all the games? and they would say, well, we have the iPad. Like, that's always the pushback. Well, we have the iPad that cuts it out and you can watch a game in 45 minutes. My response to that was, okay, cool. I also have something that I can watch all the games with, and I have a family, and it's tough for me to watch 10 games in full. Right. And if you can watch a game in 45 minutes, that's 450 minutes that you are dedicating towards watching games. And that's only 10. You have 25 teams you're supposed to rank. And yes, some of them will play each other, but you also got to watch teams that aren't ranked. And so you're telling me that you're dedicating 1,000 minutes a week to watching games? Is that what you are saying? Some of them you'll watch live, sure, but like, I know what you do on game day. It ain't sitting down and watching the other 3:30 games.
Right.
And you can't even watch the 12 o'clock. If you play at 3:30, those athletic directors are not watching the 12 o'clock games. They're not watching the 3:30 games. They may get home in time to watch the second half of the 7:30 games. So tell me how much time you are dedicating to grinding the film every single week, especially between Saturday and Monday when the discussions start. You just don't have enough time. Hunter Yurchik, as you said, is interviewing 20 coaches a week or 20 coaches over the course of this time. And yes, it was spread out over months. He fired Sam Pittman a long time ago.
Yes.
But like that with running the basketball program and running the baseball program and running all of that stuff, you're telling me that you have time to do that. So yes, Stephen, I completely agree. The makeup of the committee is laughable. If I wanted to go into a house and I wanted to analyze how good the electricity was, I'm not hiring, the 12 of my neighbors who are just homeowners and know nothing about electronics. I'm hiring 12 electricians. And there are people who are paid, who their entire living is based on watching the games and analyzing them. Hire a cross-section of those people to decide. And it will be very controversial because it's if you hire Kirk Herbstreit and all of like those people probably should not be in the room. But there are enough people out there covering the sport where you could hire a very excellent cross section of those people who can sit down and not only have the insight into what's going on, have the breadth of knowledge across the country to know what how good Tulane is because of how they played. All the teams that they played because they're watching Tulane every single week, not just when they play Ole Miss, not just when they play Duke, not like the whole season. And also the teams that they play, watching them and really being able to analyze how good a league is. But also you would have people that are able to look at the grand scheme of college athletics and with no real repercussions from coaches or whatever, be able to say, what's good for college athletics? Early season non-conference games. You know what's good for college athletics? Head-to-head really counting. And have the balls to stand up and say, you know what? I understand what the metrics say with blind resume, all that, but like there's some overriding principles that we have to abide by here and have the ability to go and do that. So yes, I have brought that up to literally the people who run the college football playoff. Right. I have brought that up to them in both counts. And the last thing that I will touch on very quickly, because I've ranted again too long.
I love this. You're fired up today. This is great.
The 30-second interviews of the media thing, the media call is not enough. You need a long form. You need a long form platform, something like this, for the college football playoff committee chair to sit down and thoroughly explain in a format that allows him to have notes, in a format that allows him to refer, in a format that allows him to expand. All right, take me through the committee's discussions on Notre Dame and Miami. And you'd be able to go and say, here are the overriding factors. We looked at the way Notre Dame has played, 10 straight wins by double digits. We looked at, relative scoring offense. We looked at relative score. All of those things overrode the fact that the head-to-head was there. And also, you were able to sit there and really have a thorough explanation that could be picked apart, sure. But is it going to be picked apart any more than your 3-word thing? I actually think the word salad that you get is more damaging to the college football playoff because those committee chairs look like they're in hostage situations.
Yes. And
they're just trying to get out of there. And if they can say more words, it takes up more time, then the 3 minutes is up and you move on.
Yeah. No, I think that's tremendous. We're not there yet. This is still very much a work in progress, and maybe we will get there. Maybe there will be improvements. I think somebody like Phil Steele should be on the committee. I'm not just saying that because he's on our show. Just somebody who watches a lot more games, frankly.
And you need a cross section of people. Like you can have a game analyst, you can have a Phil Steele, you can have a Aaron Taylor, you can have these people, much like the Joe Moore Award. Like we know who's on the Joe Moore Award, but the Joe Moore Award people do not talk about the Joe Moore Award. Like do not talk about the discussions that they have. Phil Steele's on the Joe Moore Award. Like he can talk about the semifinalists, he can talk about this, he can talk about that, he can talk about his expertise. He can talk about watching offensive lines, but he does not talk about what happens, the discussions that they have. I think operating like that with people who really know ball, like the reason the Joe Moore Award is so highly regarded, in my opinion, in like the opinion of me, I hold that in high regard, much less so than like the Heisman and all that stuff. Like those people don't know anything. They're just doing the popularity contest. But the Joe Moore Award people are grinding film. They are discussing. They know offensive line play. And so when they say this team is the best offensive line in the country, I take that as gospel. Like
right.
My opinion is overridden by theirs because they know ball and they as a group can talk about it in a way that I am not equipped to.
I love this. I love everything about this. Thank you for your candor today, Roddy Jones. I think this is great. This is good, and it's therapeutic, frankly. You don't need to be walking around keeping all this stuff pent up.
Dude, the thing is I'm not. I'm just trying to, like, these are things that I have said to the highest people that I can, and it falls on deaf ears.
Well, I'm listening. I want you to know that you're heard.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Hurd, you like that segue? You want to get into some takeaways?
Pretty good. Yeah, week 14 takeaways. I'll go first. Best thing you saw for me, it's a toss-up. Florida State doubled their win total, but the other one would be Texas. And Roddy's kind of already done this whole thing now, but Texas rounding into form, playing their best at the end of the season, kind of the Texas we thought we'd see all year long. And now they've, flipped this whole discussion on its head about whether or not you're going to let a 3-loss team in there. And I'm definitely one of those teams where I don't feel too sorry for any of these teams that we're talking about right now. If you just win all your games, then you're in there. You lost some games. You did it yourself. You did lose the Florida game. Like there is something to that. Florida's not a very good team this year, but Texas has made this kind of an interesting discussion coming down the stretch.
I mean, yeah, good for them. Somebody's got to go to the Cheez-It Bowl. I mean, it might as well be Texas. I mean, shoot.
Wow.
Where is Texas ranked tonight, Roddy?
I'd be very surprised if Texas is not right on the brink of this thing.
So they were at 16 last week. Yeah. They were at 16 last week. The only people that lost ahead of them were Michigan at 15. So it's, let's default that their starting point is 15. And Texas A&M. They're not going to reach Texas A&M, who was at 3 last week. 15 puts them right next to Vandy, who they beat. So I think they jump Vandy. And then it's the question, does the A&M win have them jump Utah or Miami or BYU or Alabama? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would have them. I would have them probably somewhere around Alabama is where I'd have them.
What do you think about What do you think about Arch Manning?
I think he has progressed the way a first-year starting quarterback should progress, and he's been awesome down the stretch. He wasn't great in the first half of that game, but, like, dude, his offensive line stinks, and you look at some of the throws that guy makes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue that he's not going to be a really, really, really good quarterback at this point. He just needed time, man. He just needed time to develop. And to get comfortable behind a line. Like when he played in real games last year, that line was pretty good. And then you get in games against Ohio State and the crew that they played through the course of the season, it's easy to have the yips. It's easy to lose your confidence, even for a Manning. But he's playing with passion. He's playing excited. He's an emotional dude, much more so than any Manning we've ever seen.
Yes.
So he has to play with that emotion and that swagger. And when he does that, man, like it looks like it's supposed to look.
Okay.
Where would you have Texas, Tripp?
What's that?
Where would you have Texas?
I don't know, man.
Here's the other thing, dude. If they can get high enough, they beat Oklahoma head-to-head. And I don't think there's anybody arguing that Oklahoma is a better team than Texas. Would either of you argue that?
No, I got an Oklahoma take too, but
You just saw Oklahoma, and they did not look great offensively in your game.
I've got some Oklahoma thoughts. This is more about Texas to me. Like if you look at Texas versus Vandy, saw that they won. Texas versus Utah gave up a bajillion rush yards to Kansas. Utah's lost to the two good teams that they've played. So I have them over Utah. Texas versus Miami. I think you could group those two together and we can move them both up together because I think that's a game. Both of them versus BYU. I'm sorry, BYU. They blast BYU. Alabama would have real trouble, I think, against certainly Miami. Like I think if you stack Miami is a bad matchup for Alabama because Miami dominates up front and their secondary is very good. Like I think that's a bad matchup for Alabama. I think they are better than Alabama. Obviously, we saw and then Texas, like the way that they've played recently, I actually think that's a game because I think Alabama can get after them a little bit. That Texas defense has been really good, but not like last year. So I think that's a game. But we saw Notre Dame. We saw Notre Dame, Miami. Like Miami was up double digits in the fourth quarter, let Notre Dame back in that game. And then obviously Oklahoma lost to Texas. I know the losses that those two teams have. But if this is about what have we heard the whole time? What did we hear when Florida State got left out? It's best, not most deserving. Yeah. It's best, not most deserving. It's best, not most deserving. Texas is one of the best 10 teams in the country. Miami is one of the best 10 teams in the country.
I think Miami's a bad matchup for as much as I love watching their fans squirm right now.
Yeah, their fans.
If I have to admit it, they're going to be a bad matchup for a lot of teams. I don't think anybody would really want to have to play Miami.
Would Texas A&M, like if Texas A&M played Miami, what happens?
Yeah, we talked about it. I think that's a coin flip game.
Correct. I could not agree more. I think when you look at the top 10, Miami is a bad matchup for everyone south of Oregon. I think Texas Tech, Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon are probably the teams that I would say, yes, Miami, on Miami's best day, those teams probably have a chance to beat Miami. Everybody else, dude, I've seen Ole Miss in person. I've seen Miami in person. Ole Miss ain't going to stop Miami. Like, offensively, Miami runs up and down the field on Ole Miss. Oklahoma may not score a point against Miami defensively. That Oklahoma offense is tough to watch. Yeah. Now, how much is Miami going to score on Oklahoma? Very fair question. The answer to that is more than Oklahoma will score on Miami because I think those defenses are very comparable. Notre Dame, I think that is a good game. I think Notre Dame, Miami would be another good game. I think those are two really good teams. But Alabama, I think it's a bad matchup for Bama. So if we're talking best, not most deserving.
Well, this is. I think that's a great conversation because you're also looking at the likelihood of teams on that cut line, and I put Bama on that cut line. Frankly, I mean, are you going to put 10-3 Bama with the loss to Georgia in the SEC championship in the field?
Yeah,
over these teams that are sitting on the bubble with two losses.
This is my opinion, and I think it is backed up by what has happened in the past, but I do not think losses in the championship game should go punished unless they're abysmal losses. I think it's extra credit, man. You turn in extra credit and you bomb it, it's not going to hurt your grade. So wherever Alabama is this week, unless someone behind them wins a championship and moves ahead of them due to winning a championship, I don't think you fall behind teams that didn't play. So the Alabama thing is going to be interesting because if they are at 10 and BYU's at 11 and BYU wins, then I could see BYU jumping them. But honestly, it wouldn't even matter if BYU jumped them because BYU would get in and Alabama would not. So that one was like sort of whatever. But if Alabama's at 10 and BYU loses, there's no one else behind them that's going to win a championship. So I don't see a way Alabama would drop. So I think this is going to determine whether or not Alabama is in with a BYU win aside.
Okay.
Another thing for Texas, which we started with Texas, like Anthony Hill didn't play against A&M. They get Anthony Hill back. It's one of the best players in the country. So
it's also an Oklahoma thing. Like Oklahoma's best player hasn't played the last 3 games. R. Mason Thomas. So
yeah, what's going on there?
He got hurt. He got hurt against Tennessee. Looked like it was a pull of some sort on the scoop and score he had. Came up lame, and Brent Venables was pretty adamant that he would not play this week, so it makes me think he's not close to playing. But in another 15 days, will he be? I don't know. Maybe.
Is Brent Venables the most intense coach interview you get to do all year? I mean, just in terms of a personality, like that guy is wired.
Yeah, he's pretty high strung. He's pretty tightly wound. Yeah, I would say he's one of them. He's definitely one of them. Who else would be pretty tightly wound? Mario Cristobal can be, but Mario Cristobal is always great to me. I've heard that he's not with other people. I don't know. Yeah, Brent Venables would be at the top of that list, I think.
Yeah, whatever that guy's eating for breakfast, I mean, I want some. Best thing I saw from Week 14, Ohio State. Welcome back.
The wet dream. They finally beat Michigan.
Great. Yes, they did on the week that I took Michigan in the points. Ohio State finally played someone with a pulse. They had to do it on the road, in the snow. They were trailing, and they performed. And I haven't seen Ohio State play somebody with a pulse since Check's Notes, August 30th.
Wow.
So good for them.
First game of the year.
It was nice of Ohio State to bookend their season with teams with a pulse. Because, yes, you had to go to Seattle and you had to play a Washington team that hadn't lost at home in 5 years. Well, guess what? You handled that, and Washington, as we discussed earlier, is still shopping for groceries. I mean, they haven't even put out the cutting board. They haven't even sharpened the knives yet. So I don't know, man. Ohio State's a very good football team. They have played nobody up until and really even Michigan. Like, I'm not saying Michigan's a nobody, but it was nice to see Ohio State. Julian Sayin throws a pick early, and you're like, maybe he's not about that life. Maybe it's going to be one of those days. And then he just finds Carnell Tate and keeps handing it off to Bo Jackson, and the defense locks down, and we're fine here. So that was impressive for me.
I want to do a little bit of a callback to something you said earlier about the bias that ESPN shows to certain conferences. Like, you yourself just said Ohio State's played nobody. They played 9 conference games, and 8 of them you were saying were against nobodies. That is not quite half of the 18-team league, but you yourself are now saying that the Big Ten is trash, essentially.
Trashy. I mean, it's not all trash. It's very, very good at the top. Indiana, Oregon, very, very good teams
at the top.
Yeah.
There's 3 good teams in the Big Ten. I would say USC is a good team. Washington's an above-average team. But, like, Iowa's an above-average team. The league is kind of trash.
But here's the thing. There are schools like Wisconsin that draw everybody with a pulse in that league. And then there are other teams like Ohio State and, frankly, Indiana, with the exception of that road game at Oregon, where everyone they play kind of sucks.
I don't disagree.
And so that A&M schedule in the SEC this year, outside of the Texas game, was pretty manageable.
Missouri,
and there's other schools like Alabama, like Vanderbilt, that had to kind of work through it.
Texas,
they had to play the meat of that league.
Georgia.
And Florida. Yeah. So, look, man, it is what it is. You have 18 teams in a league. And the way this breaks is there are going to be teams that catch buys. That's just how it works, man.
For sure.
And did it help that Penn State was awful this year? I mean, that helped some schools. Didn't help the Big Ten, though, overall.
Yeah, no, it doesn't help the Big Ten. Because that is a league that I've said this consistently. That is a league where it's like the ACC. Like, you need your brands to be good because some teams, the ceiling just isn't there. Like, what's Iowa's ceiling at their absolute best? It's fringe CFP.
Yeah.
Like, Penn State's ceiling at their best is top 4. Like, it's bye. You know, what's Wisconsin or Nebraska's ceiling? Like, realistic ceiling in this era, if they are able to achieve their absolute best, which they are far from right now, it's fringe CFP.
Right.
You hope to get on a run, but like fringe CFP is the ceiling there. Whereas, you know, there are 4 teams with a ceiling of national championship, and it's Oregon, it's Ohio State, it's Michigan, and it's Penn State. Like, the rest of them just don't have that ceiling yet. At least they haven't in the last 20 years. So, best thing I saw, since you guys have your biases, Tripp with his SEC bias, Steven with his Big Ten bias.
SEC bias.
I'm going to give some love to Virginia. Best thing I saw was
Good for you.
Virginia
Good for you.
winning the Commonwealth Cup, beating Virginia Tech for the second time in 21 years, and beating them like a drum. I mean, it wasn't even competitive. That game, after about 6 minutes, it was like, all right, Virginia's got this. To punch their ticket to the ACC championship. Everybody else in the ACC fumbled the bag when it came to getting in the championship. Georgia Tech had it. Win and you're in. They pissed down their leg and couldn't go to the championship game. SMU had it. Win and you're in. Pissed down my leg, can't go to the championship. Hell, you can even go to Miami, Louisville, SMU, pissed down your leg, not going to the championship. Virginia did it. Win and you're in. They won. They're in. They are the one team that deserves to be in the championship game.
Tony Elliott, National Coach of the Year? Question mark?
Probably not because everyone's biased against the ACC, but he will be the ACC Coach of the Year. He should be the National Coach of the Year, yeah, but he won't be. I don't think.
Playing their best
like Kurt
ball.
Signetti or something like that.
Great win at Duke. I had the Hokies as a lock last week. They take care of business there. Playing good.
Playing very good.
Save their best for last. All right.
Sometimes the snow comes down in droves. Sometimes
I don't know the words to that song.
Something they have passed. You go and save the best for last. There you go. Thank you, Tripp. Someone joined me.
That was
Steven just bailed at the beginning.
Well, your tone, I didn't recognize the song because your tone was so out of whack.
You did recognize the song because after one line, you said, I don't know the words to that song. You knew what song I was singing.
All right, worst thing I saw. I don't really have a worst thing I saw. I put down Nebraska. They lost 40-16 to Iowa. I think the thing I take away from that is they're 7-5. Yet, how does Matt Rule? How does his name get brought up every time a big job? But I just think it's about representation. And I talked about, maybe I should be the new agent for Michael Felder. And maybe I just need an agent, like Matt Rule's agent. Actually,
yeah, there you go.
Who he is right now and send him an email.
Probably Jimmy Sexton because he's everyone's agent.
Is he?
Is he everyone's agent or is he Matt Rule's agent?
He is. I mean, he's CAA, right? So I don't. You'd have to check and see who Matt Rule's representation is.
He's not
CAA
with the
or is he WME? I mean, I don't.
He's not with them.
No, because I can't remember what is Jimmy Sexton's the organization.
CAA.
CAA. Yeah, he's not with. He does not have a single publicly listed agent, but works with agencies like AAE.
It's probably Trace Armstrong because Trace Armstrong is the other one that has everybody. Anyone that Jimmy Sexton doesn't have, Trace Armstrong likely has.
Do you guys want to guess how many wins in the month of November Nebraska has over the last 5 seasons?
0.
No, well, I mean they went 1-3 this year.
You told me to guess, and I guessed.
Okay, 0 was your guess. Okay, very good.
It was a bad guess, but it was a guess.
Would you like to guess how many wins Nebraska has in the month of November the last 5 seasons?
4.
3.
Wow.
They're like me on the golf course. I'm like 1 or 2 over par, teeing off on the 15th hole, and then I just go triple, quad, double, and I end up posting a 94. Like that's how that works. Like that's Nebraska in the month of November. They got a solid round going, and then you're sitting there on the back 9. You got 4 holes to play. Water, woods, OB, 4-putt. We're done.
And they had their quarterback, Raiola.
He was hurt.
Like a number 1 quarterback recruit. I don't know. Trace Armstrong, by the way, former Chicago Bear. Hartzell, what's the worst thing you saw all weekend?
I already touched on it. Tennessee. What happened? Tennessee? Diego Pavia was talking cash shit all summer about how he was going to go to your place and beat y'all. And that's exactly what he did. Vanderbilt put up 48 on you boys.
45.
45. It felt like 95. Tennessee getting blasted at home by 3 scores to Diego Pavia and little old Vanderbilt. To close the season, as I mentioned, Tennessee, 0 wins. You can fact check this. 0 wins over teams in the Power 4 that had a winning record. They beat up on trash teams, okay? Nice win over Florida. I'm happy for y'all. You won at the Swamp for the first time in 2 decades. That's great. This has been a disappointing season for Tennessee, and it was punctuated by what happened on Saturday in Knoxville with Diego Pavia, whose brother, I believe, was arrested during the game, which I'd love to know the backstory there. But I saw the video of him being escorted out by Knoxville's finest. I just thought, for me, like, I'm not here to call for, like, anybody's job. Like, I think Josh Heupel's doing a decent job there at Tennessee, but this is
he made the college football playoff last year, dude.
Yeah, but there's people who are like, we want him out. He's a fraud. He's not a fraud, but Tennessee football the last
maybe he's going to Penn State
year. No, Penn State's got their guy allegedly. They're zooming in on Sataki.
Dude,
really?
I've got some thoughts about that one. And I'm not sure how much of them I can say publicly, but.
You saw a couple BYU games this year. What?
I love Kalani Sitake. I just have. I am. The thing that I am concerned about with the whole thing is, like, you talk about fit, and when you look at not only him but his staff, like that staff, they're all Utah people, like they're all members of the church. Of the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. They're all like they're super family oriented, like need to be around. It feels like a group that loves being around each other and loves being around their people. And if you look at their coaching staff, like their coaching staff bounces between them and Utah. It's like he played at Utah and he was at Utah, and then he went to Weber State, and then he went to Utah State, and then he went back to Utah, and then he went to BYU. Like that is how that coaching staff kind of works. Mm-hmm. And so are you going to then you have one of two choices, like you're uprooting not only yourself and your family, but your coaches and all of their family, whose family is all in Utah, and you're transporting that all to State College, or you're going and hiring new people. And let me just say, like, the last coach that did this went from BYU to another job. Like Bronco Mendenhall, I don't know this for a fact, but let me just say, like, the first chance he got, he sprinted back to Utah. He went to New Mexico. Was it New Mexico or New Mexico State? It was New Mexico. Mm-hmm. After taking some time off from Virginia, went back to New Mexico, and now he's the head coach at Utah State. Like, as soon as he could get back to being a coach in Utah, he did it. And so I just have questions on how on number one, like, would Kalani Sitake do that? I don't know. And if he does do it, like, good on him. I love Kalani Sitake, but I just think the like that coaching staff is built differently. It's built of people who are not nomads. Like, mm-hmm. It's not a bunch of guys that have moved all across the country over the course of their careers and then landed at BYU. It's a lot of people who have worked together for a long time, who have worked in that state and in that community for a long time, and you're asking them to all get up and move. And when Bronco did it, some of those guys did end up staying out and about and, like, going around, but, like, most of them, as soon as Bronco got back into it, were like, hey, Bronco, let me follow you again. And a lot of them ended back, very similarly to where they started, which was back in Utah. So I don't know. Like, we'll see. I think it'd be great for Penn State. I think Kalani Sitake is awesome. I think he builds programs the right way. I think Aaron Roderick, their offensive coordinator, is one of the best, most underrated offensive coordinators in the country. Jay Hill, the defensive coordinator, former head coach at Weber State in Ogden, Utah. I think he is fantastic with what he's done, and they could do a lot with the talent level at Penn State. I just, fit is a big question.
Yeah, that's well said. It is a.
Also, he's a dude from Hawaii.
Yeah, when I saw that name, I was like, didn't have that on my bingo card. Not for Penn State, maybe for other jobs, but not for that job. Penn State's search has been very quiet, though. I've also heard Jeff Brom.
I have as well.
Yeah, so, for what that's worth.
But why wouldn't Jeff Brom have already been hired is my question. Like, if it was Jeff Brom, it should have been done, which makes you think that it's a coach that's coaching in a championship game, which leads you to two names, Kalani Sitake and Manny Diaz. Those are the two. That like process of elimination, you would imagine they're having talks with. And it feels like the smoke around Sitake is much, much more. I haven't heard anything about Diaz.
It's just Diaz is locked in. He's about that life, as Tripp is
football school
referencing on his heart there.
Yeah.
Go Devils.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Roddy.
Is it my turn?
Worst thing you saw all week.
Hold on. Let me check the doc. Let me see. Hold on.
Might have been that
Tripp
box score from
Hurd.
the
All right,
Oklahoma
excellent.
LSU game.
No, I actually that was a close game, man. Really,
it was
good
a
defense.
close game. It was not an offensive exhibition.
I don't know why everybody gets all pissy when you have low-scoring games in college football. Oh, that team must be terrible. I had a Miami fan text me and was like, "Man, we beat the brakes off of Oklahoma." I said, "Look, I think you'd win, but like, would you? Like, let's look at the defenses that Miami's play. Like this Oklahoma defense, pretty dang good." And I think the thing that Oklahoma does is it drags a lot of good teams into the deep water and see if you can swim. And more often than not this year, them teams drowned. They drug LSU into the deep water. They drug Alabama in the deep water. They have drugged some teams in the deep water. The special teams in defense, pressure water. And those teams have not performed. So it's a different style. Worst thing I saw, I should have teed this up. For Tripp to go ahead and play the imaging as the world turns in Tallahassee, Florida.
I lost that imaging. We're not playing that anymore.
Florida State getting blasted. 2 ACC teams ending their season with a whimper. Florida State, 5-7 on the season. Mike Norvell has not won a game away from Doak Campbell in 2 years. That is your Florida State Seminoles in the year of our Lord 2025.
Okay, so you give the guy zero credit for doubling his win total from last year. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I get to be 350 pounds and you ask me to go run a mile and I run a 30-minute mile and then I lose 200 pounds of that and I'm 150 pounds, now I'm way underweight, and I run a 15-minute mile, it still ain't a fast mile. And the only reason I cut my mile time in half is because I got to 300 pounds. Mike Norvell more than doubling his 2-win total last year and still not reaching the win total that was set for his team preseason. Yeah, I'm not giving him credit for that.
Yeah, it was a joke. And this isn't a math show, Roddy. So let's not turn this into
the other one, just to turn the attention away, the Bill Belichick era ended with a 42-19 ass kicking at the hand of Dave Dorn and the NC State Wolfpack. Dave Dorn, by the way, has won 5 straight against North Carolina. Mm-hmm. He is 9-4 overall against the Tar Heels. So the Tar Heels need to start calling Dave Dorn daddy. And the greatest coach that we've ever seen this season, the greatest coach that we've ever seen in college, in NFL football this season, has losses to Sonny Dykes, Scott Frost, Dabo Sweeney, Justin Wilcox, who got fired, Tony Elliott, Jake Dickert, Manny Diaz, and Dave Dorn. Bill Belichick's resume this year.
Wait, are you breaking news? You said the Bill Belichick era is over. Is that? Are you?
I didn't say that. I said the Bill Belichick's. Sorry, if I said that, I didn't mean that. The Bill Belichick first season ended with a whimper.
Okay, all right. Just want to clarify there. I mean, I didn't know if you. I love when people
sorry.
break news on this show. I just didn't know.
No,
if
I'm
you
sorry.
Were
that was
prepared to do that.
That was a misspeak.
Okay, very good.
All right,
yeah, tough year.
Thing you saw was Florida State. Okay, so something that shocked
Florida State and UNC.
You have one team that's willing to take football seriously and pay a buyout. Hartzell, that's the thing that shocked you, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know Kentucky had that in them. They paid Mark Stoops to go away. Now you want to talk about ending with a whimper, getting blown out, getting shut out by Louisville, 40-0, 41-0, whatever it was.
That's tough. Real tough.
Yeah, that is tough. But I didn't see Kentucky firing the winningest coach in program history, giving him $30+ million to walk away, and then bringing in a guy, checks notes, named Will Stein, who is the offensive coordinator at Oregon and is a Kentucky native. But
the name alone, you can't hire a guy named Will Stein.
I'm not against guys with the last name Stein, okay? But I got
something against
Will. Come on.
To your point, Roddy, earlier, but like that is a very tough job, Kentucky. Their basketball team allegedly has a roster that costs $19 million,
and they stink so far, right?
And they're not good. So how's that going to work? Cutter Boley is probably going to stick around. He's a local guy, the quarterback. He played well.
Do they want him to stick around?
He did not play well against Louisville, and Louisville was on a 3-game losing streak going.
Didn't play well
against
Vandy either.
No, he didn't. You're right. So I don't know, man. It's not that me and Mark Stoops are boys or anything. That guy's going to be just fine with all that money sitting in his checking account. But
do you know Will Stein played football at Louisville?
$30 million. Man.
I did know that he played high school football at Louisville. He played college football at Louisville too? I didn't know that.
He played college football at Louisville. He's a Louisville quarterback from 2008 to 2012.
Well, there you go.
What's the first thing you'd buy if you got $30 million to quit your job?
Oh, I've got an answer in the hopper. Do you want me to go first, or Roddy? Do you want to go first?
No, you
can go first since you've got one. And Roddy,
I would buy a lake house in the mountains. I would find a place where the mountains and the water bisected, and I would put the lake house. Hopefully, it's already built. I mean, I'm not opposed to new construction, but I'd like it to be ready when I get there. Lake house in the mountains, and then land. I don't want to see anybody unless you're riding around on a pontoon boat. No neighbors.
You got some jet skis, or you got a pontoon?
Well, obviously, I've got. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, that's the house is the big investment. The toys. I mean, yeah. Well, there will be watercraft. It's
relatively little.
As well.
Yeah.
And what's your everyday driver going to be? What's your everyday car going to be?
I mean, I'm not really worried about it at that point. I mean, just some sort of an SUV to get me from place to place. I don't need it to be. I don't need a Maybach. I don't need like a what are they? A
yeah,
G-wagon?
That's what I said every day. Like I don't want like your dream car.
I'll drive a Kia. I don't care, bro. I mean, I do not discriminate on cars.
You got $30 million, you're gonna drive a Kia.
I'm pushing a 2012 GMC right now, and it's hanging on for dear life. So if that thing's still ticking, yeah, we'll drive that. I'm not worried about it. Tripp. All I need to do is get to and from the golf course and to and from the dock. That's all I need.
I got a 97 4Runner. I'm not worried about it either. Roddy.
30 million, Roddy. What you doing?
What are you doing? You've probably already got 30 mil with all this.
Yeah, right. I would like we'd you pay off the house. We'd get a lake house, some toys. That would we still have a lot left over after both of those things. So then I'm just putting it away. The everyday car. I'd get Jackie a car, and she would get whatever car she wanted. She'd probably get a fancy car. I would get like a Buick Enclave or something like that.
Very responsible choice. Roddy's got 3 daughters. He's got to save up for all them weddings, bro.
I like an Expedition maybe. Maybe a truck. Who knows?
Get a Ford F-150 Lightning. You just plug it in and never have to pay for gas.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be much. Like it'd be one of those things where like I'd buy what I wanted to buy, and then you'd have like 25 mil left over. You're like, whoa. Sweet, just put it away. And dude, here's the thing, man. You can hand me $30 million today. My lifestyle's not changing all that much. I'm still showing up to work. I'm still grinding with you guys. I'm still grinding the film.
Bull. I'm calling early bull on that, Roddy.
No, I'm not changing it. Well, like the vacations we'd go on would change for sure. Like those would change.
You're not slumming it with me and Tripp on CSN. Bro. Ain't no way, bro. No. Ain't no way. I appreciate you. Thank you for being nice.
I could win $1 billion tomorrow, and next week I'm right here with this microphone in my face talking to you guys. Because honestly, who else is going to fix the college football playoff committee?
We got more than that.
Wait, hold on, time out. If I get 30 mil, like at least, let's see how much. Well, I'd go hire an accountant, and I would say, how much can we write off in taxes for a donation to that Georgia Tech NIL?
Let's
help out my boy Britt Key.
Yeah, let's go. We're back. Now
the Battle's End would receive a little chunk of my money for sure. Where are we at? Something that shocked? Did we do something that shocked us already?
I did.
You did?
Oh, did you do it, Tripp?
No, I didn't do it. I was kind of shocked with the whole Oklahoma result, just because you're talking about defenses. Like one team that's got a bad defense is Western Kentucky, and they held LSU to 13 points. So I was a little surprised that the Oklahoma kind of playing with fire there. They're kind of, I think Oklahoma kind of reminds me of Georgia Tech, but the exact opposite. Like Georgia Tech has no defense, but they're pretty good on offense, and Oklahoma has no offense, but they're really good on defense.
Oklahoma's defense is a lot better than Georgia Tech's offense is, like relative.
Yeah.
Oklahoma probably has the second best defense in the country. behind Ohio State.
Yeah, the other thing I had down was Cal over SMU, but I don't even know how shocked I am. I mean, I really don't. I guess that's probably I shouldn't have put that in the shock column because even if they wouldn't have fired Wilcox is great as a home underdog. When they do fire Wilcox, you get the first game bump for the new coach. So, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have been shocked at all that Cal beat SMU, but SMU was a double-digit favorite there.
Yeah, we consider that shocking. I think the thing that shocked me is 2 losses in the top 18 of the college football playoff rankings during rivalry week.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty tame. It was a tame weekend. It really was.
Chalky. Like, it was exciting at times, Chalk, but most of the games were not super close or exciting. Ohio State, blowout. Indiana, blowout. Georgia Tech, sleeper. The Texas A&M Texas game, like, good game, but it was mostly Texas controlling it in the second half. Texas Tech, blowout. Oregon, never a doubt against Washington. Ole Miss, never a doubt against Mississippi State. Oklahoma was close. Notre Dame, blowout. Alabama, Auburn, great game. That's the one. BYU, blowout. Miami, blowout. Utah, blowout. Vandy, blowout.
Utah had to work for it. Utah had to work for it against Kansas, but still, that's not the one that's on the list when you're like, hey, rivalry game going to come down to the wire. Right. That wasn't one of them.
USC, UCLA, Virginia Tech, and then you get to the bottom part of it, like Territorial Cup, blowout. SMU lost. Like, that was a close game.
Hey, clean old-fashioned hate came down to the last play, Roddy Jones.
And I said sleeper. But like, here's the thing with clean old-fashioned hate, and we haven't talked about Georgia Tech. That was a game that Georgia Tech got back into the game, but like they were down 16-3, 16-6. It felt like 60-3 with the way Georgia Tech was able to move the ball. Like, they could not do anything. And then all of a sudden, you're back in it. You're throwing the ball into the end zone with a chance to tie it at the end and potentially win it with a 2-point conversion. So it was a weird game that never felt like Georgia Tech was really close to threatening, even though somehow Georgia couldn't move the ball against a defense that gave up a bajillion yards to NC State and Boston College. And Pitt.
I will be on the sidelines Saturday for Georgia and Alabama, which is one of the cooler perks of what I get to do. That's not lost on me at all. But I don't know. I still don't know what to make of Georgia's offense as a unit. At
Georgia's
times,
offense is good. Like, it had a bad game against Georgia Tech, but when have they been bad other than that in the last month and a half?
Yeah, but like, so we're just going to excuse it. We're just going to excuse that a Georgia Tech defense that was giving up 500 yards to everybody in November just found it, or that Georgia just I don't know. I don't know who I trust in this spot. I'm looking at Georgia and Alabama, and I think Alabama needs to win to feel comfortable about Selection Sunday and their spot in the CFP. And Georgia struggled to beat that team, especially in Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt. The big question is, do you think that this was a regression for Georgia back to who they were during that stretch of Florida, Ole Miss, Auburn, Kentucky, where they sort of, stumbled out of the blocks, had to come back in the fourth quarter? And even the you look at the Texas game, and that's a game into the fourth quarter, as McElroy pointed out. Like, but it was a game into the fourth quarter that Georgia pulled away. So, I tend to think that this was just a rivalry game situation. You're looking ahead. Pretty early that you're going to win the game. At least you feel comfortable about it. And then it gets close on you at the end. But I don't know. Like, I am not out on Georgia's offense. I think they had a bad day ultimately. But, like, you look at, like, the win probabilities for Georgia, and it never dropped below, like, 78%. Because they were in control, man. Like, on the stat line until late, and then it got kind of spicy.
Kind of spicy.
Don't watch that.
16-6 is what they were.
That'll get you in trouble.
Do you like that game being on Friday night, by the way, or Friday?
I don't mind it being
Saturday?
On Friday. I think it sucks being in Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, no, that's a sterile environment. I agree.
Yeah. But. Yeah. I don't love the win probability thing, Tripp, in terms of like judging. I don't love it as like a win problem. Like, they had a 98% chance to win. Well, no, duh. There was 2 seconds left on the clock, and it was a Hail Mary. But I do think it shows pretty well who was in control. especially when the win probability is that high
Yeah.
that early in the game.
Don't go look at the Duke Houston Final Four game from last year. Win probability. That's
why. What happened?
That's the
Well,
most
exactly,
heartbreaking thing
and
I've
this
ever-
is it very illustrative of how much of a collapse Cooper
Yeah.
Flag and who was it? Sion James.
Don't
Was
put
that
it
his
on
name?
Cooper Flag. Yeah, Sion James and Tyrese Proctor both
Tyrese
had
Proctor.
two of the worst.
I mean,
Look, I
Cooper
love those
Flag
guys.
couldn't hit
I
a
love those
last-second shot
guys.
the entire year, and he didn't do it in that game.
Love those guys, but had some unfortunate things happen coming down the stretch.
Yeah, hate it for him.
Good thing basketball season hasn't started yet.
It's about to be basketball season for you. I can't wait to see you on that ACC basketball podcast.
Yeah, nah, bro. You ain't gonna see me on there.
That ain't you.
They
You know what?
cannot pay me
Vegas
enough.
had to have cleaned up on that Georgia Tech game too, because the Yellow Jackets, by the time it kicked, Hartzell, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see what the line closed at?
It was north of 2 touchdowns, right?
16 and a half.
Yeah, I mean,
It's big.
I get it. I understand. I do. Roddy and I exchanged some texts during the game, okay? Like, we were in our feels. And I had to deal with a very emotional 6-year-old after the game who doesn't understand that, like, this is his life, that he chose.
Sorry, dude.
Like,
honestly, he's young enough. He's young enough where I will not be mad at all if he chooses like mental stability and health and flip sides of this thing.
my wife was like, you can root for both teams in
You
the
can.
state of Georgia, and then just when they play each other, just, root for them to have a good time. Like, you don't have to do this to yourself.
Don't do it to yourself.
Because
kid.
I've got pictures on my phone. He was despondent.
from someone who has to live this life from now until the end of time. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Like, there are other ways. So anyway, pretty rough way to end the year for the Georgia Tech faithful, especially.
They've only lost 3 of their last 4 after starting the season 8-0. It's feeling very much like Pitt last year, where they were 7-0 and then lost the rest of the season. It's just not fun.
Yeah, no, it's been a struggle. There is championship weekend upon us. Roddy, you will be in New Orleans covering the American.
Yep.
North Texas at Tulane. Mean Green, 2.5-point road favorite at Yulman Stadium Friday night. What's the weather report in New Orleans? Are you excited about that? I mean, obviously you're excited about this game, but what do you expect
I don't know
to
what the weather report
here?
is in New Orleans.
What do you expect to see here, and where will you be eating dinner on Thursday night, more importantly?
Let's look at the weather report. I don't know about dinner Thursday night. If anybody has any suggestions, I don't even know where we're staying, but if anybody has any suggestions, let me know.
I hear there's a
no shortage
really
of food.
really nice seafood restaurant called Bubba Gump Shrimp Company down there in New Orleans. Maybe you should check that out. Nice little mom and pop restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
I haven't been to New Orleans. As an adult, I've never been to New Orleans.
I've never been to New Orleans as an adult.
No, I haven't.
Weather dicey. Friday, rain likely, potential for heavy rainfall. Rainfall near 1/2 inch. Wonder if it'll be raining at night.
Wet track.
Yeah. North Texas's offense is really good, and they're really fun. Tulane's kind of done it with a sort of team effort without an elite unit or really an elite player, to be honest with you. So it's going to be interesting. I think North Texas is a slight favorite, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But Drew Mestemaker, Wyatt Young, got a really good running back too. Those guys are good, man. And the scheme is good. Also, I don't think Eric Morris was in Stillwater this week. John Summerall was all up in that Gainesville doing the Gator Chomp.
Right.
On Monday. How much of a distraction is that on a short week? I would say significant. Probably.
Mestemaker follows Morris to Stillwater, right? That's the assumption.
I would guess that their 3-headed monster all follow him to Stillwater. And Mestemaker, great story. Didn't start a game at quarterback from his 9th grade year until he got to North Texas. Was not a starter. Played some other positions, and then he's leading the country in pass yards. So, yeah, I think him, Caleb Hawkins, the running back, is really good too. Big back, 1,200-yard rusher, and then Wyatt Young, the receiver, along with a couple others, probably follow him. So yeah, it'll be fun. Two coaches that are deucing out as soon as the season's over in the coaching transfer portal, if you will, while we barbecue these players for jumping in the transfer portal all the time. Look at what's happened around the country.
We have kept this a you-know-who free zone for 90 minutes. We're going to keep it that way, okay? We're going to keep it that way.
No, talk Lane. I want to get you guys' thoughts.
There's no
Lane Kiffin?
There's no – if you need College Game Day or if you need somebody to spell this out for you, then you are incapable of thinking critically. You are incapable of being able to look at all of this stuff over the last several weeks, this trail of breadcrumbs, the social media, all this stuff, everything, all of it. The guy's an untrustworthy individual. That's the nicest way I can say it. Don't make no.
Why is he untrustworthy with this decision? What part of it makes him untrustworthy?
Everything that the guy says, it's all a facade. It's all fake, and none of it's real. He is not a person of substance. You can't sit there and look into the TV camera and tell these people that it's the athletic director's fault that you're not the coach of Ole Miss. That is,
he said it's the athletic director's decision, which is true.
It's the athletic director's decision that Lane Kiffin's no longer the coach of. I don't want to do this, right?
Oh, not the head coach of Ole Miss. That he's not coaching the playoff.
Yeah. Like that's, come on, man.
You don't think Lane Kiffin would have coached the playoff game had they allowed him to?
I'm sure he
the reason Lane Kiffin
to.
isn't coaching the playoff game is because he's going to LSU. So ultimately, it's Lane Kiffin's doing that he's not coaching the playoff.
You're not going to let a fox walk into the hen house and just do whatever it wants for as long as your team is in the playoff. Which, by the way, maybe 3 weeks until you guys even take the field.
Tulane and North Texas are letting their coaches do it. James Madison's letting their coach do it.
I think we all can we not separate why going from a SEC team to another SEC team is different than North Texas, Oklahoma State, JMU to UCLA, Tulane to Florida?
I certainly understand why it's different, but I think it's all sort of pride-based. Like, you will not go to another rival and coach us. We are of equal to that. Although I think if you look critically at it, going from James Madison to UCLA historically is about like going from Ole Miss to LSU.
I'm not comfortable with that comparison. I mean,
why not?
UCLA is a much bigger deal in the college football community than what JMU is doing in Harrisonburg.
Correct.
Yeah.
LSU is a much bigger deal in the college football playoff in the college football community than Ole Miss.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that big of a degree. I don't think it's that big of a degree.
No,
of
maybe
separation.
Maybe not, but it's similar. Tulane to Florida. I mean, I think we've sort of lost where Ole Miss stands in college football because of Lane Kiffin's success.
Sure.
Compared to LSU, who has won 3 national championships in the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the part of that I will push back on with people when they're like, well, he's going to an SEC rival. And I say, well, what about these guys? Well, that's completely different. Those teams are different levels. So are Ole Miss and LSU historically. The only reason we are considering this not 2 different levels is because of what Lane Kiffin did. Prior to Lane Kiffin, the answer is nobody had done what he had done. They had, 4 double-digit win seasons in the history of Ole Miss before he got there. He's had 3 of them, or it's like 5 and 4. Like,
sure.
The only reason that this is a discussion is because of what Lane Kiffin did. Now look, I am not defending Lane Kiffin the person here. I am defending the decisions that are or the notion that he could coach the college football playoff. Because I've had people say, well, he's going to be competing for the same recruits if he's at Ole Miss as he will be at LSU, and you don't want him recruiting for the other team while he's coaching your team. My answer to that is the reason that you go to LSU is because you can't get those recruits at Ole Miss. So no, they are not swimming in the same pool from a talent standpoint. The number 1 player in the country by some accounts was in Lane Kiffin's office that day he was announced as the head coach at Ole Miss. 1, because that kid lives in Louisiana, but 2, he wasn't in Lane Kiffin's office at Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't have a chance with that guy.
Yeah,
and they won under Pete Golding. They won under I see it as a situation where yes, he's going to a rival, and I completely understand that. And like if you want to draw the line of like, hey, the athletic director has to live in Oxford, and the people of Oxford would never forgive him. Completely understand that, but I don't think it's ridiculous that Lane Kiffin would say, hey, I should be able to coach this team because one, it gives them the best chance to win a championship. It does. Two, it's the best thing for the players is to give them the best chance to win a championship. And if we're looking out for the players, then yeah, I think we should let Lane Kiffin do it. Now, you could argue if Lane Kiffin was looking out for the players, he wouldn't have taken that job. Completely understand. But three, I use the Luke Fickell comparison. Luke Fickell decided to stay and coach his team at the expense of taking the Notre Dame job. I understand from a coaching and like moral standpoint why you would stay with your team and essentially wreck your career by turning down the Notre Dame job to stay with your team at Cincinnati. Lane Kiffin wasn't willing to do it. He wouldn't have wrecked his career. Like that would have been sustainable at Ole Miss to some degree. Would have had a hard ceiling, maybe not that hard a ceiling, but like would have had a pretty difficult ceiling to bust through. So I understand it from like a career standpoint. And I do think it was handled messily, but I don't think it's crazy that he would want to coach that team for the playoff.
I don't think it's crazy. I just think the guy's a narcissist, and the things that are bouncing around in his head, his wishes, his desires, the things he thinks are okay, are very much not okay. And so I applaud Keith Carter and everybody else within Ole Miss to be like, we cannot trot you out there for a home playoff game at Vaught Hemingway when you are going to be the next head coach at LSU. That is
fair.
very dangerous and borderline like toxic situation that we would be inviting upon our program.
If that team, which is going to be, what were they ranked last week? 7. Let's say they end up at 8 and they get like Notre Dame coming to Ole Miss, and that team scores 14 points in a 37-14 loss. Like, how are we feeling about the decision to not let Lane Kiffin coach the team? We still feeling okay? Because he took like not the entire offensive brain trust, but the primary play caller is gone, and Charlie Weiss Jr., and the secondary play caller is gone, Lane Kiffin. The architect of that offense is gone. Joe Judge is taking over, but Joe Judge didn't grow up in that offense. He doesn't know. I'm sure he knows a lot about it. Like, he obviously knows the ins and outs of it, but like, you are significantly hampering the thing that carried Ole Miss the entire season because that defense has not been good.
That's why we can't let them in the playoff.
Wow.
You got to take them out.
I was so close to landing the plane without having to talk about Lane Kiffin.
Look, here's the thing. What Tripp is saying is like, obviously Florida State biased, but the committee's going to say, well, we haven't seen this team without them. They're losing their play callers. And the offense is the reason that they're there.
Bingo.
The defense is a statistical anomaly amongst the top 12. The defense is that bad. And so you're going to now say that team deserves to host, or that team deserves, that team is good enough to host a playoff game. Because remember, it's best, not most deserving. Right. Remember, we've been told always it's best, not most deserving. So it's not what Ole Miss deserves. Is Ole Miss good enough?
I don't know. Like, we're going to find out tonight when the playoff rankings are unveiled. Like, does Ole Miss get penalized because they have an interim head coach? And as you noted, Roddy, the defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, it's not fins up anymore. The fins are down because the defense is.
And like, Pete Golding is a really good defensive coordinator. Last year, he had a defense that was among the best in the country. The thing is, they had
filled with NFL players. Yes,
correct.
Yeah, this is not that. No, not by a long shot. Okay,
unless you're going to be good next year.
Yes.
Expectations are going to be a whole lot different for Lane Kiffin down there too. I think he'll find that out. Like, the expectations for Ole Miss are different than they are for LSU.
He chose that life. He's a big boy. He's 50 years old. Like,
so are the players.
So the players are different. LSU.
Don't go,
LSU had 4 offensive linemen drafted last year, including
9-3.
Dude, I mean, look at what he did with the Alabama. Look at what he did with the Alabama offenses. That is what you can expect, because that is what happens when he has the level of talent that he will have at LSU. Now, he needs a quarterback. Trinidad Chambliss might be that guy, but like, dude, he did it at Ole Miss with like half of the talent that he is going to do it at
Chambliss was
LSU.
done.
He's
he
applying for another year of eligibility, allegedly.
He only played. He redshirted then medicaled at Ferris State, so he's only played 3 years. 2 years at Ferris State, 1 year at Ole Miss.
Yeah, nobody knew who he was before this year, so why even count those years? Like, he ought to get 4 more years.
That's a tremendous thought process. Okay, Roddy, before we get out of here, I would like to give you the opportunity for Rodstradamus. It's championship week. There are 9 games on the slate. Obviously, you're calling one of them, but you're off back-to-back winning weeks, man.
But by one, like, ridiculous. I got to get this thing rolling. We're gonna pick every championship game.
You can't pick the one you're calling.
Yeah, we're gonna pick every one other than that. And it starts on Friday on CBS Sports Network. Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State. Give me the Owls of Jacksonville State to upset Charles Kelly. Actually, let me take that back. I'm going to go with the home environment and my former coach, Charles Kelly, and the Jacksonville State team to beat
the Gamecocks.
Jerry Mack. Yeah, the Gamecocks. To beat Jerry Mack and the Kennesaw State Owls. Give me Charles Kelly's crew.
So you want Jacksonville State at home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
There's
plus 2.5. Sorry.
Plus 2.5. Thank you very much. All right.
Yes.
Conference USA Championship game. Love to see
completely flubbed that. I'll go Troy plus the points.
I hate you.
Because the spread's 23.5.
Dude, JMU's been an absolute wagon the last month of the season. Wagon. Except for that Washington State game.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to go to Atlanta, I'd be in Harrisonburg for this game. I kind of wish I was going, but I can't. So
who's JMU hire?
I want the guy at New Mexico. Eck.
He just resigned, didn't he?
God dang it. Well, I don't know, man.
I know who could not miss a beat in Harrisonburg. Never mind. It doesn't. Just never mind.
Yeah, he got an extension to 2030. Who are you going to say?
No, nobody. It's not.
Does Billy Napier want to come back to the group of 5?
Wow.
I don't want him, but
dude, that'd be a good move for Billy.
I don't know, man. Maybe we go higher. I don't know.
Bobby
honestly,
Petrino? Would you take Bobby Petrino?
No. Bobby Petrino's not a nice person. He's not a good human being. We've got a streak of decent humans. I'd like to keep that streak going.
Why? Because he was dating someone while married.
It wasn't just that. I mean, it was the Falcons gig too. I mean, he's just got a history of just poor decision making. His moral compass is broken.
Why did he leave the Falcons again?
Because he was losing and over his head, I think.
He just quit?
Yeah, middle of the season.
Because they were oh man, you don't see that a lot.
Well, Mike, he came in and I think Mike Vick got hurt and he was like, man, F this. Mike Vick went to jail and he was like, man, F this, I'm out.
Yeah, federal prison, I believe is the more accurate description of where Mike Vick went. But yeah, Troy, what's the number there? 23.5, something like that?
23.5, yeah.
It's a big number.
And a half.
Friday night at 7:00. I know you'll be scoreboard peeking while you're down in New Orleans.
No, probably not.
Nah, you will be.
No, I won't. I'm locked in on the game that I'm doing. Not peeking. All right, let's go to. We got a late one on Fox. UNLV Boise State. I'll go Dan Mullen and UNLV on the road at Boise State plus the points, plus 4.
Yeah.
I'd take Dan Mullen in Harrisonburg if you wanted to leave. UNLV
I want
Harrisonburg
here.
Would you take the over?
No.
The computers. Did you guys see the computers had to figure out who was going to play in this game? They couldn't announce it until middle of the day Sunday because all of the power rankings weren't out. So stupid.
It's not great.
It's ridiculous.
It's not great.
Anthony Calandria leads them to a championship. All right, I'll go Texas Tech plus the point. Texas Tech minus the points. 12.5 in Arlington.
That's what I'd do with 30 million. I'd lay it on Texas Tech and have 60 million.
What if you lost? What if they backdoor?
Not gonna let. That's just Texas Tech doesn't let people backdoor.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't do with 30 million is ever bet it on sports because
Dude,
this is.
can you imagine if you had $30 million riding on a football game? I mean, just the level of diarrhea that you would have during that game, before, during, and after. I just that
Why?
doesn't.
Somebody give me 30 million. What would I do? Like if I lose the 30 million, my life's just the same as it was now. It's fine.
No, it's not. I don't. I mean, you could have
That's
not
a good way
betted
to
on
look at it.
on a football game, and then you would have had generational wealth.
You could have bet 10 million and still had a lot of money.
I think it'd be fun. I'm here for the experience. You know what I'm saying?
If anyone's listening out there and they'd like to see this
You
play
can
out
only
in real
YOLO
life,
once.
he is at Locks of the Dock on Twitter. So there you go.
Can't take it
Texas
with
Tech
you.
12.5. It's yours.
That's right.
In the MAC championship, Lord, I'll go Western Michigan minus the 2.5.
Okay.
I'd fix my lawnmower. That's the first thing I'd do.
Just buy a new lawnmower.
No, man. This
No,
thing's a
not
classic.
even that, dude. Hire somebody to do what the lawnmower does.
This thing is a classic.
I like mowing my own grass. That's not going to change no matter how much money I have. I'm going to cut my own grass.
Dude, absolutely not. No
Listen,
way.
Roddy, you don't have an appreciation
how.
for grass like I do. You know yard care
I
is
do.
a hobby and a passion of mine.
I do need to link up with you offline because I've got some
You got
some lawn
a
questions.
situation? You got a situation? All right,
Well,
let's
so,
wait till
like-
football season's over. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Our grass has gone dormant, like it's gone brown, but now
Yeah.
we got these weeds popping up out of it.
They make stuff for that. You're going to be okay.
All right, hit me up. Let me know. Let me know what I need
You
to
got
do.
a Bermuda lawn is what you have. So you have to
I do?
buy stuff. Yes, but Bermuda, it could be zoysia.
I've
take
got
a picture
zoysia in
of
the
it.
back. I've got zoysia in the back. I don't know that I have zoysia in the front.
Okay, it's probably Bermuda, and yes, it goes dormant in the cold, and you have to get a weed killer that is specifically for Bermuda grass. Otherwise, you're going to fry everything, and I don't want you
wanna
to do that.
I don't want to do that. Okay. And then you got to let me know what I need to do in the winter to make that thing pop come spring because I need that thing popping. You know what I'm saying?
We'll
I need
hook
that
up
thing
all-
popping. You know, we
we'll hook-
moved, so I got to have that
helped
thing
you.
popping.
Yes, I helped you sell your house because you were like, I
did.
got nothing's
did.
growing in the front yard. I
You
literally, I
A
walked
lot
you
of green in
through
that
it,
front yard.
and then you hit the jackpot and you sold your house. You're welcome.
In a day, full asking is what we did because
Unbelievable.
that thing was popping,
Unbelievable, man. I boosted your curb appeal so much that house
Ain't right.
sold.
popping. I need your help. Guide me, Sensei.
I will. I'll help you.
All right, let's go to the SEC championship game. Give me Bama plus the points.
I like the over in the SEC championship. There will be lots of offense.
After what Georgia did last week against Georgia Tech, you like the over.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Ohio State minus the points in the Big Ten. They're going to beat Indiana by about 20.
I don't agree with that either.
Okay. And I'll go Duke plus the points. No, I will not. I will go Virginia minus the points.
Save the league, Virginia. Do the right thing. Why is that line only? Why is that line only 3.5? It was a blowout in Durham. Why is that line only 3.5?
They handled them 2 weeks ago.
Because I think people are looking at how Duke played in that game, and Duke is a very dangerous team. Like Duke is the most frustrating team in the ACC because they are offensively, they're probably the best offense in the league when they're clicking, but they don't always click. And the last time they played Virginia, they couldn't block Virginia up front, and Darian Mensah didn't play well. And despite 2 Chandler Morris interceptions, Duke wasn't really able to get anything going. So I would say because people don't trust Virginia, and Duke's pretty good, but that's hard to say for a 7-5 team.
Well, I will tell you this: there are tens.
When's the last time you rooted for Duke football, Tripp?
Man, you let Duke go to Columbus and see what happens. See you later, Buckeyes.
Columbus. Oh Lord.
Columbus, Georgia. You guys playing Carver?
Yeah,
Columbus?
I was like, when's Duke going to Columbus? What's in Columbus? Is there like a regional final in Columbus? Is that
Columbus
like a
Day?
basketball?
Let Duke head to Columbus and see
We're
what
doing
happens.
a neutral
Is this
site
an
hoops game.
NCAA
We
regional?
don't have that
Yeah,
Michigan offense. We got a real offense.
Tripp, you should be drug tested. I'll be honest. I think it's
For a
time.
number of takes.
I think it's time we need some urinalysis from the lock doc. Thank you guys for listening. Wayne and I will be back on Wednesday. We'll break down some playoff rankings, and then
Duke will do in Columbus what they couldn't do in Reschler or whatever that play stores. UConn.
That
What?
game was meaningless. It was
New
meaningless.
Orleans.
We told you to take UConn. That was the biggest lock of the whole college football season.
Oh, yeah, UConn football. I forgot about you guys. Jim Mora headed to Fort Collins. UConn needs a coach. Maybe we'll talk about it on Friday's show with Felder. Maybe not.
Probably won't.
Thank you guys for listening.
Ask
we'll talk
Felder.
to you soon.
I need Felder's UNC takes, like his overall, UNC take of the season.
Why don't you book him on your shows, Roddy? I mean, you're all over XM, man. Why don't you
I don't do the booking. I don't do the booking.
Well,
I don't do my lawn. I don't do the booking.
Who does the booking? Can you give me their email address? Because if I get Felder on there, that puts a huge feather in my cap.
Yes, he's
On the way
already
to being his agent.
he is Felder's agent. Yes, that's a real thing that we're doing. Thank y'all for
If
listening.
you want to
We'll
be
talk to you
Felder,
soon.
if you want help booking Felder places as his agent, just let me know. I could get him on wherever you want.
Make
Yeah,
it
I'm letting you
happen.
know right now. Tell me
Make
what
it
I got to do.
happen.
Just text me is what you got to do.
All right.